Me, Myself and Them by Dan Mooney, narrated by Aiden Kelly. My Beloved Monster, Chapter 1. He watched the monsters watching him over his lunch of smoked salmon and brown bread. They didn't speak, or laugh, or joke. They simply watched. Plasterer, the bulky clown, dressed in his usual workman's overalls, leaned against the doorframe, his painted smile covering a gruesome frown. The professor, his skin threatening to rot off his face and ruin his tweed jacket, rested his chin on his hands and sighed once without taking his eyes off Denis. Dino sat at Plasterer's feet, being hairy, which was his one exceptional talent. And then Penny. Penny also watched. Closer to him than he'd like. She was always closer to him than he liked. It was afternoon, but they weren't long out of bed, and as there wasn't a morning person among them, silence was not uncommon at this hour of the day. They watched him clean his plate carefully, put on his coat and head for the door. He nodded to Plasterer as he passed him, and the clown clapped him encouragingly on the shoulder. Nothing to be afraid of, he told himself. It's just outside. The words were supposed to be a comfort to him, but a small voice in the back of his head quietly reminded him that they were a lie. I remember when you weren't afraid of your own shadow. It's just outside. Feel the fear. Do it regardless. He made his way out into the early afternoon, calling out his goodbye through the door as he pulled it firmly shut. He carefully placed the palm of his hand against the smooth grain of the door and gave it 3 precise pushes, taking care to apply the exact same amount of force each time. Satisfied with the door-closing procedure, he walked 12 steps to his gate and opened it, stepped out onto the street and shut it behind him, carefully counting each deliberate step as he moved. The low grey clouds closed in on the afternoon oppressively, a mild breeze tugging at his suit jacket, rustling the leaves on the trees, a whispered warning that he should have stayed indoors. The neighbourhood kids watched and giggled. He smiled at them and nodded. They were used to his foibles and he to their amusement. He set out for town, his perfectly polished black shoes striking a comforting staccato as he moved, a steady kind of rhythm that drowned out thoughts. He was dressed well. Denis always considered maintaining his appearance to be something of a priority, and the act of maintaining his professional look was a chore in which he could lose himself happily. His suit trousers were expertly ironed and sat atop shiny shoes which covered perfectly pressed socks. Attention to detail is something that the normal person aspires to, but as far as Denis Murphy was concerned, if you don't iron your socks, you're living a lie, hiding your gruesome lack of concern from the world. His shirt, starched and crisp, was a pale pink with a darker pink tie to offset. The whole ensemble finished by his pristine grey coat, buttoned up because that's how it's supposed to be worn. His grey satchel was carefully packed with a laptop, some paperwork and a pencil case containing all the required tools for the statistical analysis that paid his bills. As he passed a car, the glass threw his own reflection back at him, forcing him to carefully correct a single aberrant hair that had strayed from his otherwise perfectly groomed head. Aberrant hairs were a significant problem for Denis Murphy, and the wind was most certainly not his friend. Sometimes he wondered if the breeze was trying to spite him. Most wouldn't have put his 30 years on him. He appeared a man in his 20s, but there was no mistaking his calm and confident manner, a learned behaviour that betrayed no hint of his frighteningly complex daily routine. Tasks, tasks, and more tasks. That was how Denis Murphy survived his day. A careful, meticulous man, he awarded each job the relevant time he felt it deserved, depending on its place in his own personal hierarchy. Washing dishes was more important than cooking, maintaining the bathroom a higher priority than vacuuming the stairs.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?